although we can try to make it as close as possible. And like all Toastmasters activities, we will improve over time. So you can improve your meetings, even on Zoom, in the future if you implement well. I've put a link, but this is not very good. But if you go to the Zoom website in China, I don't know if you can do this or if they have something similar, there are videos that you can use and also suggest to your members how to log in, how to log out, and so on. And I think that will really help your members become more engaged with using Zoom. So that's a resource that we should all, as club officers, be using and encouraging our members to use. So that's basically my short presentation. And let me go back to normal now. And we have two great trainers coming up to actually give you some of the technical aspects of Zoom. So I'll pass the control on to, who's next? I think someone's going to give, Irene, are you next? Someone's supposed to make some comments at this point.
Irene, we cannot hear you. You were muted.
Oh. No, I'm not.
I've unmuted you just now.
Herbert, thanks for sharing. I think Irene and I will share some non-technical aspects on our experience just using Zoom. Is that okay for everybody? I know everybody here is looking for some solid stuff, but I think for us, we would just change the tone for 10 minutes and share some soft things. Would that be fine?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Shall we start?
Yes, please. So Irene,
yep.
Would you like me to introduce you, or you will just introduce yourself?
I am a 26-year-old Toastmaster.
Wow. I feel like a baby.
Therefore, I was just born. I joined Toastmasters when I was 18.
Wow.
Okay.
So definitely you have multiple experience in Toastmasters. And then I heard that you already have 2 DTMs in hand, and now you are close to get your 3rd DTM, right?
Oh, they are useless. Because I'm still learning, because like in Toastmasters, there are unlimited things you can learn. Now take this online meeting as an example. My first experience with Zoom, using Zoom, is like 2 years ago when I started my coaching course. Right. And I thought that was fascinating because participants are from different parts of the world. And I think this is the beauty of it.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, we can meet people from all over the world.
Yes, I definitely second that. This is the beauty of having an online meeting where we can meet people from all over the world, regardless of our locations, where we are and what time zone we are, as long as we have a computer, a phone, or an iPad, and good network connection, right?
Right.
So Irene, you shared about the advantages and benefits of using Zoom. Anything that actually had it, did you have any hiccups?
Well, I have to add one more benefit. Now we don't have to wear a face mask. And we don't mind splashing our saliva all over the screen and nobody gets infected.
That's very true. But then if anyone who is using a public computer also, still, please pay attention to the sanitizing problem. Well, as you mentioned about it, right now we are just focused on using our face areas where I believe that our body gestures and then hand gestures will be largely reduced or limited. Any suggestions on how to work this?
Well, I'm pretty dumb. I believe in you work one thing at a time.
Okay.
Now, I think the best thing is we focus on our eye contact. Somebody just warned me, my camera is not on my eye level. So I have to search for the camera and look at it so that I have more direct eye contact with my audience. Something I have to learn and practice. If it had not been this online meeting or training, I wouldn't even pay attention to it.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you that right now we are only focusing, zooming on our face. So we are gonna pay more attention to eye contact, facial expression. And one thing I noticed is the speed that we speak. Because right now for the communication, there's a slight delay in the
True.
time lapse. So I have to be really speaking slowly than my usual normal speaking speed. This is my personal how I feel. So everybody, how do you think about Irene's eye contact? If you think she's doing a great job, you can wave your hand or you can give her a thumbs up in our comments in our chat room.
Wow. Hi.
Right, really lovely to see everybody.
Yes.
I also heard about, well, to me, it's also a personal hurdle is it feels kind of weird looking at a camera and speaking, right? It's maybe it's just me. So how do you come over that kind of mental hurdle for you to speak more fluently in front of?
I have to confess, I have not overcome it yet. I'm trying. So again, for me, it's a test, a challenge, and I believe it's same for others.
Right. Never too late to learn, right?
Exactly.
Yes, and learning.
Even an old dog can learn new tricks.
You are only 26 years into Toastmasters and believe there are many more years to go, right?
Well, 26 years for a dog, it's very, very old.
Well said. So just now, Irene, you shared with us your personal experience using the Zoom, its benefits, and how we
Yes.
can actually be more focused in working one thing at a time. So this is my learning. And also I would like to share with everybody one more thing. By the way, my name is Tianyin. I'm from Hong Kong USA, as well as Professional Trainers Toastmasters Club. And compared to Irene, I'm just a toddler. I'm a baby in Toastmaster, only 6 years. And hopefully I'll get my DTM this year, in the year 2020. Yes. And one more thing, I just want to echo on Irene on the benefits of using online Zoom format. It reminds me a lot of a TOEFL English test that I just, not just, but then I did 3 years ago. It is when you have to speak in front of a camera. And I think this is good training for anyone who plan to do TOEFL or or actually are preparing for it, right? Okay, so any other questions for us? Because right now I don't see a timer working here, but I perceive that we have already used up our time, and I don't want to let everybody wait for too long for the sharings in the next session. So if you have any questions on the benefits, or actually you have sharings on the benefits you experienced in using Zoom for meetings, or anything concerning psychology, I mean the mental hurdles you need to come across in order for you to speak more fluently in front of camera, or any tips you have for us to benefit in order to make us more confident and gain efficacy speaking in front of camera, feel free to leave in our chat room, and then we'll be summarizing and going through them by the end of this sharing tonight. So I think without further ado, I'll pass stage to Aaron. Aaron, are you ready?
I'm still trying to drag Jim back, but yeah, I can start if you want.
Hi guys.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening, everyone. Fellow Toastmasters, my name is Aaron. I'm currently the Area H1 Director and also doing this training, Zoom training for everyone. So by a show of hands, like there are some house rules to take note in a Zoom meeting. First of all, if you notice that there are some people like, how am I going to shake hands with people? How am I going to support people? Like giving applause to people. So we have a hand sign that's like shaking the hands like that. So let's all do together. You see me waving our hands. This is actually like giving applause. When we see any speakers that come on the stage, we actually do this. And when we do the applause part, you see that the audio will spotlight. So I highly recommend that for any online meetings and stuff, do the wave first. That will actually show the support. And two, if we notice that the speaker is actually speaking like that, and then you can't hear the audio, it's not your fault. It's because they may have forgot to unmute themselves. So when we see this situation, we actually have the hand near the ear, and was just like, I can't hear you. Yes, this is a common gestures to remind our members online when they're doing their speeches. If they forgot to unmute themselves, then yes, we have to do this sign to remind them. So let's do the wave again. And then do the I can't hear you sign. Yep. In all Zoom meetings, the practice as follows. When you're not speaking, please mute yourself. The mute button is actually on your bottom left-hand corner. You can just click on the mute yourself button so that we can have a smooth ride. Otherwise, there'll be some audio distractions, and you do not want your full screen to be on the main speaking view. So that, for those who are not speaking, please mute yourself first. You have the chance to actually speak up later on. Now, so we'll go to the PPT slides now. Where's my PPT? Sorry, just take a moment for that.
Before that, may I interrupt?
Yes, go ahead.
Aaron, you might want to still mute everybody first and then unmute yourself to start, because right now I can still hear the background noise.
Yep, good point. So I'll mute everyone just other than me. So I'll also mute something called my television, because my sister actually opened it, and I do not want that to affect our workshop. So give me one. And I'm back. So I switch off the very nice background music at the back. Let's share my screen. So today is mainly about the Zoom training and online meeting tips, so that it will be divided into two different sections. One will be led by me, which I will spend around 15 minutes, and the other part will be taken by Jim. So Tianyin can also help me to remind Jim to come to the room as quickly as possible. So you see that this agenda will be showing a bit of rundown. So there will be some elements that we'll be talking about on an online meeting that you have to be aware of. That will take around 5 minutes. I'll talk about some Zoom and Zoom functionalities, around 10 minutes or so. And then we'll do a demo whereby you will get your chance to do an impromptu speech, and we do evaluation online to let you experience how it goes. Finally, although we do have a poll system in the old room, but for the new room, we'll try something different for the poll. Finally, we'll be tackling some common issues that we see on online meetings, such as, for example, how do you even set your timer, etc. I will do the examples later on to let you see the demonstration of how that goes. Finally, we have the FAQ, frequently asked questions, that's gathered by question masters, and we will deal with them each separately. So currently, teleconferencing is kind of everywhere. Now with this virus coming on around the world right now, teleconferencing give us the benefit of doubt of really being safe at home, or even connecting with people and still carrying on your Toastmaster meetings. So one thing to note is for teleconferencing, you're actually completing one of the components in Pathways. In level 4, there is a project called Manage Online Meetings. If you want further information about how do you operate a successful online meeting, you can actually explore the options there. That manual actually teach you quite a lot of stuff about maintaining the eye contact, how you're going to moderate the panel, etc. So feel free to look at the manual that's in level 4. This is what happens in a live meeting. The live meeting whereby everyone is actually showing us the video itself, and most importantly is about the engagement, the interactions. You can see everyone at one glance. This is actually held in the speaker view. Speaker view, you can actually see a couple of people, but if you want to see more, you will see the gallery view, which you can see up to 25 people. Currently in this room right now, if you check the Manage Participants button on your bottom line, you will see that there is around 160 participants. So congratulations, give yourself a wave for being here with us in this time of the journey. For all questions, we'll be doing it at the end. So if you're raising a hand later on, we will respond to your questions immediately. So 3 essential elements to an online meeting. In all online meetings, you need to bear in mind these 3 key variables. Otherwise, you will not really have a good online meeting. You will blame on the technology and stuff like that. That will happen. But it's not because of networks and stuff. It's because that could be a better way to handle that. So the first important means is your tools. Leave your comment in the chat box on which tool you are using right now to get online to this meeting. So you can just type in the message box here, type here, and let us know what sort of means that have you got into this meeting. So some of you may have used iPad, phone, and laptops. So I want to see the response from everyone. We see a lot of laptops, phones, desktop. Yes. Keep the answers on coming because it will be interactive. You can give us answers in the chat box and we will respond to that later on. I love the answer of Huawei Mate, a specific phone model as well. For reference, if you're using a phone to get online, any phone that is from Samsung 6 onwards or iPhone 6 onwards will be sufficient to deal with any online meetings. For laptops, you need to have a Windows version that is more than Windows XP. If you are still using Windows 98, then I'm sorry, you cannot use the online meetings. So because that would actually affect the whole, the RAM size and stuff, the speed. So I highly recommend that if you're using your laptop, definitely use Windows XP and onwards, and making sure that you have lots of memory because you might want to record some meetings for your own reference. Do not use Windows 98. It's not really that good for online meetings too. And finally, iPad. iPad is actually used for members who will find the convenience. It's actually slightly better than phone because you have more functions. So iPad-wise, the only downside for iPad is that if I'm going to tilt my iPad in front of the camera itself, then I need to position it well on my eye level. That will actually affect me quite a bit. For a phone, I just need to have a phone stand. For a laptop, I just need to look at the camera directly. But for an iPad itself, you need to have a support stand. So that's the slight downside for those tools, but you need to find the solutions to solve that, which for iPad, I would actually find a water bottle or something strong that will keep it on flow. If you're still following me, give an OK sign. Let me see whether anyone has actually seen. Okay, great. So the second component that many people will have issues with is the Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi itself is actually the most important variable in the whole online meeting because if you're laggy, you'll actually make someone, and you'll ignore someone, or even unable to communicate effectively to people. So for any Wi-Fi, if you're actually at home, you might be connected to the strongest Wi-Fi. If you're fine with that, that's okay. But if you are connected to Wi-Fi and you've realized that you are a bit lagged out, then the solution would be that I will suggest you go to your phone, open your mobile hotspot, which is on this screen. This mobile hotspot actually allows you to connect to your phone, the network itself, and allows you to have a smoother connectivity. So it would not affect your speech too much. Because usually mobile phones might have a better network compared to Wi-Fi, depending on the situations. Okay, if those two methods doesn't work, then my last option would be using a portable router. You can see on the right-hand side, there is a Huawei version of a router, which is portable. You can buy it for around like $200 or so. This will ensure you to have a private exclusive Wi-Fi from your mobile network, and it allows you to have a very smooth ride on an online meeting. Sometimes I usually use this when I need to deal with emergency situations. If I need to do a workshop that is all the way in US and I cannot get home immediately, I have to travel from Shenzhen all the way to Hong Kong. Then I need to use the portable Wi-Fi to save me in some extent because it gives me a very safe and secure Wi-Fi and also a smooth ride for that. Next. The third item in any online meeting is that you need to have a willingness to try, because online meeting will be very new to every one of you. Online meeting is not a common thing. It has been in place since 2015 in Toastmasters International Convention. It goes way back in the ages whereby we have been trying to encourage online, and it took around like 6 years or so to actually make online meetings fully established in the Toastmaster community. So for online meetings, you might find that it's a bit weird looking at a camera and you don't feel any interactions. Or you might find that, oh, I hear a lot of echoes. I cannot control the meeting. Don't worry, this is all a learning experience, because this is essential for a corporate world. If you're dealing with any clients overseas or even like in other cities, teleconferencing will be a tool to actually deal with clients, etc. That will be essential skill in a lifetime. So for new members, I highly recommend the laptop version, because the laptop actually allows you to have a smoother ride. Later, I will show the difference between a phone and a laptop. For experienced Toastmasters or people who do not know how to use a laptop, yes, there are people who do not know how to use a laptop. I highly recommend a phone. As I mentioned earlier on, you need to have a Samsung S6 and above or iPhone 6 and above. That will be sufficient, because those RAM and iOS system will be sufficient to run that system. So this is the difference. You can take a screenshot of this and decide on your solution. Which one would you want to go for? The phone version, you actually see that is the person is actually much more bigger. You feel that you're much more closer to that person. The downside for a phone is that you will see there are only limited buttons. If you look at the buttons itself here, you see some arrows here, right? You see there are only like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see all these buttons are limited. You only have the essential buttons. The one that's on the left-hand side is the one that is for connection, like audio. When you come into this meeting and people do not hear what the others are speaking or saying, usually it's because they didn't connect to the audio. So this is the button that people have to take note of. If you realize that the member say, I cannot hear you, it's because they forgot to connect to the audio. So I will make that bigger later on. The next one will be the video button, whereby it's about interactiveness. If you want to switch on the video, it actually allows you to have body gestures, your facial expressions. It's just like face-to-face directly. It's just that it's blocked by a screen. That's the only difference between the online and in-person Toastmaster. Okay, so let me see. If you, for those of you who actually didn't mute, let me mute you again. I'm so sorry about that. Continue. So I see someone draws. Actually, for those who are using mobile version, you can actually draw on the screen. This is actually a button whereby it allows you to interact with the speaker or the workshop speaker. You can draw a line, you can draw a love shape and stuff like that. It's up to you. But this whereby you interact, but try not to draw too much because it will actually affect the slides. But I can clear all. There's a clear all button, and you can see that I remove all the drawings. So the host and the speaker itself can actually control the screen, what is shown there. I'm so sorry, I need to mute that person who is. Thank you. Thank you for the Roger word. And then when you see the main screen itself, it has the stop video button, the manage participants. The manage participants button is whereby you can rename yourself. You know that we all have different roles in Toastmaster meetings, like timers, the art counter, the grammarian. You can rename yourself. You can even make yourself funny in front of everyone with the very nice, cute name so that people can remember you. So like I see Joy, I see Toby, who actually renamed very formally. You can actually think about something creative that renames yourself to leave a lasting impression. It's how you define an online meeting, not an online meeting defines you. Everyone okay so far? You can give a okay sign. Sure. Okay, using Zoom, which is the main bit of the entire operations of what this workshop is about. So now, thank you for the okay. It's very obvious. Thank you for the okay twice. This is where you can actually interact with the speaker if they cannot see you. So how do I join an online meeting? This is still a problem for lots of new members. So what we will do here is that if you need it, you can actually screenshot this page. This is whereby the difference between a mobile phone and a computer version for Zoom. For mobile version, you will see the screen on the left-hand side whereby you can actually just join the meeting directly. As long as you know the meeting ID, just the number itself, you actually can connect to it. So you just need to click on join meeting. You do not even need to sign up. You can just download the app, join the meeting directly. For the computer version, it's still the same. Join the meeting, know the room ID, and then you'll be connected to the room directly. And then when we see the room here, how do I join the meeting itself? So you can see that literally just, this is a Chinese version. So you just need to click on the join conference, or you need to type the meeting ID here as the name implies. And then just let the members know how to connect with the meeting ID, and that'll be all that's needed. Okay, so next one is that there will be slight difference between Zoom in China and Zoom in Hong Kong. The reason why is very simple, because Zoom was nearly blocked, was blocked by the government last year in 2019. So there is slight disruption, but it's okay now. There is a company that's willing to build them out. So it's nothing wrong with the Zoom itself. It's just that some issues with the usage of the meetings. So for members who are from Hong Kong, Macau, and other parts of the world, just click on the US/J/the room number if you are not connecting through the meeting via link. So you just need to go for a China one. If you're in China, just go for China, J, and then after which the room number. Just type this link and share it with your members, and they will go directly into the meeting itself. But the first thing is they have to download the app. Meetings. So in this meeting itself, you will see quite a lot of functions. Unfortunately, this is too big. I'm going to reduce the size. Oh, it's not there. Okay, so this is whereby it's the speaker view. Speaker view whereby this person will be very big here, and then you will see that the other participant on the top. So when you click on the gallery view is whereby you can see 25 participants in this room. So it depends on how you go for it. For me, I highly recommend to click on the gallery view. The reason why is because you can see your timer. You can see other participants. You can see how they're actually carrying on in this meeting. If you see them raising up their hands and want to answer the table topics, at least you can identify them. But the speaker view, you only can see up to 7 people, depending on how many squares on the top. So you can see only approximately up to 7 people. So please take note. And this is actually a very complex, I wouldn't say complex, it's just like a step-by-step functions that explains on everything in the meeting itself. So for any members, you have to actually go by the 1, 2, 3, 4 method. When you go onto the meeting, when you hear that members cannot hear it, usually they forgot to click on this button, which is called join audio conference by computer. If they forgot about it, then they cannot hear you, obviously, because they can't join it. They haven't joined it. Then they cannot hear you. Then you cannot speak at all. But if they forgot about it and you want to fix them or troubleshoot, go for step number 2, which is connect to the audio. This is whereby it's mute or unmute button, which is on your bottom left-hand corner. There's a mute and unmute button. The button beside it is actually a video sharing button whereby you share your webcam to let us see you. So this is useful when we are doing a speech. If you're going for a toilet break, going for a coffee break, or if you're eating lunch and you do not want them to see your face, then the alternative option is to switch off your camera. Then you can do your stuff at your own time. Share screen button, this one, the center one, the green box, is a share screen button whereby it's useful for PPT, PowerPoint slides, or when you're doing a long, lengthy workshop. That's what I'm doing right now. That will be required for this share screen. The other alternative for sharing the screen is that if you are doing a table topic session and then you put your table topic questions in the PPT, that's also another alternative to actually ask questions. And finally, the chat button, whereby you are interacting with me through the chat box. I can see a lot of comments. I only heard 3 people voice in this room, etc. If you get terminated, then you see all these chat logs. So this is whereby you can actually interact with them, interact with other members. Like if you're joining the meeting for the first time as a guest, you want to be welcome. So for the VPM in that meeting itself, they will actually say, hi, welcome. Can I have your name, please? And how do you know about us? So you can interact with them privately or publicly. That's usually what we do as a role taker in the meeting itself. The app, for information, for the app itself, is free. It's free for 40 minutes, but currently in the crisis right now, we're dealing with a crisis right now that in China, if you're creating an account, it's free of charge. But in Hong Kong, if you're creating an account, it's still free, but only limited to 40 minutes and 100 people. If you are going to upgrade to a pro account, that will accommodate up to 100 people and unlimited time. For Tianying's account, which is currently used in this room, she can accommodate up to 300 people. And there are other functions such as breakout rooms, which is very useful for COTs, club officer trainings, if you're having different workshop speakers at the same time. Now, finally, if you're leaving this room, you can actually click on the bottom right-hand corner, which is end meeting. It actually goes directly leaving out the meeting itself. Now, obviously, it's not a question and answer session because I'm going to actually stop sharing, and I'm going to do a demo session for everyone. Now, I'm going to ask a table topic question. Now, everyone go to your gallery view, and you can see around like 10 people switching on their webcams right now. Now, I'm going to ask a table topic question, and anyone who wants to answer it, it's still the same table topic rules, etc. So if you're willing to answer it, just raise up your hand. I will actually pick you on answering the table topic question. We'll just do a little demo. Anyone wants to go for a table topic? Or else I will pick someone.
Let me try.
Oh, wait, William, right? Okay, great. Do you mind if you actually share your video so that basically it's about eye contact and stuff like that?
Okay, video.
Sure. So thank you, William, for taking up this opportunity for table topics. Table topic is 1 to 2 minutes. I'll be asking you a question.
Okay.
So if you discover the cure for this coronavirus, what will be the first thing that you want to do?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat what you said?
Okay, the question is about if you discover the cure for this virus that's spreading right now, the coronavirus, what will be the first thing that you're going to do?
If I found the cure, and I found the cure for the disease, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And what do we do, right?
Yes.
At first I will I think to save for the public, to help more people is a Chinese citizens' duty, So I think help more people, do more things is my duty, and with more duties, with more opportunities, we should have more people more. I will let my friends and family members and relatives to know the cure medicine or some sorry, the first time to take this kind of meeting. Yeah. Use all these technologies to let them know how to cure the disease and spread it to their friends around, and spread more people and more people, and with more people get to know the how to say that, the things, and they will and I think finally we will solve, we will settle it. We need more people like Leifeng, to help more people, provide free care, free free care, free care. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, though. Very good attempt. Give a round of applause for him. Or wave. Actually, that will work. I need to find a way whereby you can stop seeing my red card. I'm actually timing myself as well. So this is whereby you do a virtual camera. This is one way whereby if you are trying to remind the timer that his time is up. So this is what we would do for solving that problem. So this is what I do as well to remove that timer card. This is a virtual camera method. The other method that we usually do is to do a green screen whereby we have a background. I can see like Joy right now. You can see Joy if you don't mind me sharing your screen. Like Joy is actually currently in US right now, if you believe that is the case, okay? And then that is a nice background job that you can actually do a lot of timer. You can see Jim right now that is actually doing red. That actually shows the differences of that. You can actually make your whole screen as green, yellow, and red. That is actually more effective too to show display. Jim's method is doing a green screen method. So behind him is maybe a white wall or a colored wall that is constantly the same. If it's not a good background, you will see some blurry situations like what Scarlett is doing right now. You can see like Scarlett, if I'm using her example, you can see that there's some fadings because her background is not too clear. It's in the dark. So that is actually the answer. So we usually have a very clear background before we do the green screen. If you're doing the virtual camera as what I'm doing right now, that's also another alternative way to do the timer. Okay, now without further ado, obviously we have answered we have the first table topic challenger, and obviously we have to do the evaluation, right? In any Toastmaster meeting, we have the evaluation. So for our speaker just now, you can see that he is very nervous on the screen. He's like, I'm looking somewhere else as long as I'm avoiding the camera. So one tip for us to actually keep ourselves being confident in an online meeting is to look at the camera straight in the face so that they will not see your nervousness. I'm doing something like that right now. I'm seeing myself. Am I spotlighting someone else? No, I'm spotlighting myself, okay. So I'm actually looking at you. Or you may see that my camera is a bit blurry because I'm using a very cheap webcam. So if you're using your phone and that has the beautifying method whereby you can keep yourself slim and beautiful, I'll try to use that camera itself. But for me, I'm going to look at the camera itself and so that you can see me having an eye contact and conversation. And then gestures-wise, you can actually do it a bit closer. Closer, it means that you cannot see your whole face. You can actually do it a bit further. You can see that I'm actually pushing my laptop a bit further so I can maintain the distance. And I can actually keep my whole camera, my hands, within that square where I'm communicating. Jack, I would like you to unshare your screen if possible. Thank you. So when we're doing the gesture itself, in any table topics, it's about stage presence, even online itself. When you're communicating with people, you can do it slowly. You can actually try to make us feel engaged. Let us see your facial expressions. I know that you're very nervous, but it's your first attempt. So give a round of applause for him for doing that table topic speech. In terms of content-wise, in terms of the whole flow, I would like to see more stories. I would like to hear more descriptive words to think about, oh, what are we going to do with the virus? The first thing I'm going to do, or maybe the power of free, to let us see a systematic way to present your whole speech. And at the end, give us a takeaway message whereby we can actually feel that, oh, although you have talked about the 3 points, let us have a summary. And then at least when I go home and think about this question itself, I may have a different answer. So that will be some tips and advice for a table topic, a short one. Impromptu evaluation. So give a round of applause for myself. Thank you. Now, finally, the next stage, obviously, I will have to pass the stage to our Jim for even further elaborations for tech stuff that will help you to find any online meetings professionally made and also engaging. So give a round of applause for Jim.
My PowerPoint, you mean?
Yes, your PowerPoint.
Okay, so just highlight if something has been covered before. So when we give you a link to the meeting, sometimes it will appear in your calendar app. At the bottom there, you can see the inbox. There's some messages in the inbox. And the calendar is an ICS file, and it will add itself to your calendar. And often we have Mickey Mouse here trying to explain to members, you know, you just click the link, and people can't understand, what does it mean? Just click the link. It can't be that easy. Well, it is. And from experience, what I find that is very helpful is to have a WhatsApp group. If you don't have one in your club, have a WhatsApp group, because for sure, the first time you use Zoom, there'll be a lot of very simple questions. Oh, how do I click? I've got a Zoom account. Why can't I join the meeting? Well, nobody asked you to use your Zoom account. Just click the link. And this is a good way also in the WhatsApp group. You can quickly screen capture and send a picture, point here, click that, you know, this sort of thing. And it's very hard to do that in the chat section of within the Zoom itself, because a lot of times your members aren't in the Zoom. You know, when they have the questions, they're outside the Zoom. So this is a good way to do it. Now, when we join a meeting, we might not be in a very nice position. So this is where I actually work. So this is the way to do the virtual background. The second button on the lower screen is choose a virtual background. And you can use a variety of things. So the first thing that comes up is this screen, and you just point to the plus. I think this was covered before. For the technical stuff, the dimensions is a 16 by 9. And if you don't know what that is, ask your VPPR, he can tell you. And here's an online calculator to do the images perfectly. So you can see the image behind me. Very high quality black and white. This is the way to do it. Now you can create this sort of screen, because some of your members will be early and they'll arrive in this Zoom chat room before you do. So this at least lets them know they're in the right place. So your club meeting, you can always add in the theme of the day, word of the day, and remember to leave a gap in the middle, because that's where your head goes. Or you can put in some slogans, some posters. So this is the talk up Toastmasters, a Chinese New Year festive thing, a Christmas one, and put your timer cards in there as well. So the timer cards, the way I do it, is actually images in that virtual background library that I can choose. And you just click on it and it changes instantly. So that's the way to do that. You know, Chinese works very well. Now you notice the lighting on my face, either the live picture or the picture here. This is very important. So all the stuff you learned about photography, about backlighting and all that, it all applies to this online meeting as well. So here we have somebody who's quite okay. But when you join the meeting, this is the screen that you get. There's no menu, there's nothing. So what you have to tell the members to do is to use the mouse and roll it down, and then all the menus will appear. So the first one that we can do is to rename yourself. Because when you come in, you might have something like iPhone. I noticed on our list here, we have about 17 iPhones. So that's no good to anybody. You ask the members to rename themselves. And this is the way to do it. You just hover over the more, and there's a selection there for rename. And we sometimes have members from India that join our meetings, or from Shenzhen or whatever. So just get them to put something meaningful down there. This is a typical meeting one. So we have the speaker roles first and then the name afterwards. And this is what I like to see: mute. Right? If you're not talking, if you're not presenting, then mute your mic, because nobody wants to hear screaming kids in the background. You can also make somebody a co-host. So that gives them the power to spotlight the video, to turn people off, to turn the mic off, your members. So you have the power to do that, kick people off the meeting. If you want to do that, and a variety of other things. So a spotlight video is what we use just now to make sure that the speaker is the featured video in the middle, or the timer. So we might want to flash the red card just once, and then undo that, unspotlight the video so the red card goes away, because we don't want to just stare at the red card for a long time. So here we have something on the side there that you can see. So this is the cancel the spotlight. Okay, what else have we got here? We have a lot of other buttons. So up there on the top, you can see gallery view. Gallery view gives you this sort of situation here, where you can see a lot of people. So we have 100 and something people, and it appears in 4 screens if you use the gallery view. Now you can look at the variety of screenshots from people's faces, the way they've positioned the camera. If they're using the phone, very often we can have a good view of their nostrils, look up their nose, or into people's mouths. The one in the middle there, the guest evaluator, Nancy, she has what I call a L'Occitane lens. So she's obviously used hand cream and then touched the lens on her phone. So it looks like that. So the way you want to do it, okay, so here's another one. It's these little icons there on the side. And people can vote yes or no, or wave their hand, or ask a question. Whatever you decide, you tell your team members what the raised hand means. Does it mean ask a question, or it means a wave of support? So this is what we want to see. Unmute. And under more, we have also the thumbs up, the thumbs down, clapping hands, I'm off for a tea break, or wait, time's up. So you can choose these different icons and it will appear next to your name. So down here, share screen. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm sharing a PowerPoint. So you click that. And this is what you see when you share a screen. You have all top of your computer appear here. Now you can see the arrow pointing at something called a whiteboard, and that's purely a white screen. And what you can do is turn on the pen, which I'll show you in a minute, and you can scribble in live mode some notes or point at something. This next one is what I'm using now. So I point it down to here, the PowerPoint. I double clicked it and opens it up. So it hides all the other stuff that you have on your screen there. If you're sharing a video, this is very important. Remember the purple arrow there, share computer sound, because share computer sound is completely different to mute or unmute your mic. If you don't share the computer sound, your video will be silent. You won't be playing anything. Now this is the share screen, the menu options that you have. So you have mute, you have manage party. That's the same, that's mimicking the same as the menu above. But if you press annotate, you get all of these other things. So the purple arrow is pointing at the draw. So it's like a pen, and you can draw things over anything. You can draw over a moving YouTube video if you want to do that. And the spotlight, I think you'll use quite a lot. It's like a laser pointer. So you turn on the spotlight and you can operate it like a laser pointer. Now for sound quality, you can use your Bluetooth thing that you walk around outside, to listen to music and to talk on the phone. So it all works on computer or your phone, and it makes the audio much better, because with a Zoom meeting, we just look at people's faces. We want to hear it really well, and we want to see the image well as well. So here, you can judge for yourself whether this is a good image for a meeting. I don't know. The trouble here is, you see, the light is only on the back of the head, not on the front. And here's a different view. So again, we've got the light on the back. Not only that, but he's bald, not helpful, and also no light in the front. And also it's pointing up. So it's not a very flattering angle. You never see fashion models having their photos taken in this sort of angle. So this is another thing that doesn't work, striped clothing, because we have something called a moire effect, and it has something to do with videos and the scanning rates. So, don't wear striped clothing. And make sure you manage how you look, because sometimes you think you're coming on Zoom and you have the video off, but in fact the video is on. So this is something that could scare the kids. So here's a perfect example: light in the front, a virtual background, so you can't see I'm actually in the butcher's shop. And you can change the angle of your computer, like that, if you can see the live view, to have the light perfectly facing. And this is the Zoom for free. China is offering Zoom for free, so I can post this on the president's WhatsApp group, how you can do it. It takes a day, so you apply for it. They think about it for a day before you get access, and it's completely free. And finally, if you've got any questions, this is the email. Send the questions here. Cherish is the one who arranged this training today. So, and that's it. Voila, finish. Back to you, Aaron.
Thank you very much. So I hope everyone feel that is a very enjoyable session. And give a round of applause for Jim for sharing us use the online meeting method. Shake our hands and give a wave to Jim. And also thank you for Cherish for organizing this meeting. I'll pass the stage back to our question master for today. Is it Tianying or Herbert? Just double checking. Herbert is not here, so.
All right, so I'll be taking questions. Everybody, really appreciate your time. We notice right now it's already 35 past 10. So if you need to go to the bathroom or actually have to go to bed, we will be sending out a summary of today's sharing later. And anyone who wants to have questions can now post in the chat group. Any questions to anyone who has spoken in this meeting? How to do voting?
Okay, so Jim, you want to take that question on me? I can answer it.
You better, because I'm not in charge of this screen, so I have no polling at the bottom.
I don't have polling either. I have to create a new one. So yes, for the polling itself, there are 3 ways. One is that actually, if you look at the chat room itself, we have actually answered that. The common way that we do is either creating a group and then put the e-poll in your WeChat group or WhatsApp group. That's one way to do so. 2 is that we have a SAA in the room itself that will be collecting the ballots. So we will actually say something like, for the awards, please remember to vote for your best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluator to our SAA, for example, Jim. And then Jim will actually receive all these ballots and calculate the best speaker, best evaluator, and best table topics. The third method to actually create the vote itself is to have your own Zoom account. This is actually one of the examples that we do just now with the Zoom. So we can actually have a Zoom poll pop up, and then people can vote together. Unfortunately, because this meeting is created instantaneously, so we do not have the time to put the poll in there. So what we would do alternatively is actually ask people to write in the chat box and then vote for the best speaker. But there's only one best table topic speaker for today. So it's like automatically he won. So when we have more than 2 to 3 speakers, then we do this method. Finally, go to the Zoom main account. If you are the room host,
right,
the room owner, you can go to the Zoom main page, the main website, create a meeting, and then you can add the poll in there. So next time when you're creating a meeting, you can actually have the function to add the poll so that it follows within that category. So it makes everything smoother. There will be fixed format as well. You can repeat the whole poll every time, reusing it for every single meeting from now on. That can be duplicated as well.
All right. So I have another question regarding whether Bluetooth headphone or just normal headphone would be better. I think you can test for yourself. Or Aaron, you have the recommendation?
It is a good question though. For members, I highly recommend to use a normal headset, the one that comes along with your mobile phone. That should be sufficient. unless you're doing a kind of like real life teleconferencing with a business client, then I wouldn't recommend a normal one. I would recommend a more professional one that would slightly cost around 100 to 200 Hong Kong dollars. For Bluetooth, it depends, because for Zoom meetings, for any online meetings, actually Aaron mentioned one point that is really important for online meetings, is that you will notice your battery life will be exhausted very quickly. So the Bluetooth itself will take a toll on that battery usage. So I highly recommend not to use your Bluetooth headset, because it may stop anytime.
Right. Also, one thing to note about Bluetooth is usually our Bluetooth headset is connected to multiple devices, and there are chances somebody just calls you up and you're using Bluetooth to your, let's say, laptop for Zoom meeting, then it will got interrupted. Another question, I think somebody asked about the time limit in China right now. So you said that in China right now, Zoom is free for 1 month, and free.
So there's no time limit, and the participants is 100. Limit is 100.
Yes,
so it's the same as the District 89 account.
Okay, so another question for Jim, it's from Herbert, about whether there's sandbox mode.
Whether there's what mode?
Is there a sandbox mode? I don't understand it.
But you can record meetings. I don't know. Maybe that will help. So the owner of the account can record the full meeting, and then it takes some time to convert it. So after you end the meeting, the Zoom will continue to convert the video file, and then you have the video file. You can choose either video or just audio to save space. So if you use this for your club meetings, Exco meetings, and you want to take notes afterwards, this is a good way to record the meeting and then do the minutes.
Right. I guess what Herbert means is that you can play around.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so anytime somebody wants to have a play, I can set up something very quickly, and then you can go in and have a play inside.
Okay, good to know. Irene, we can't accommodate that. You can't punch anyone in an online meeting. So how to do the screen control? Can put the speaker and time in the same screen. I guess my understanding with this question is that while somebody is speaking, can he or she also show the timing signals in the same screen? I think so, right? We can do that.
Yes, I've just demonstrated it when I was doing the table topics. I put the timer card at the bottom of my screen.
Right.
So you can actually do that with a virtual camera or a green screen that will actually work effectively. But I highly recommend not to do so, because I want you to focus on one row at a time. Being a timer and a speaker at the same time, that will actually affect the overall quality of your speech.
I can see that. Another question is, can we explain more about the spotlight and co-host functions?
Okay, so for example, the spotlight, let's say, for example, I'm going to spotlight Jim. So the host button will actually have more buttons than normal participants. The normal participants, you just need to find a screen in the gallery view. Let's say, for example, I might put Joy or Jim, and then there should be some buttons like pin video, etc. But there's no spotlight video. Only the co-host and the host will have a spotlight video. If you're creating your own account or paid ones from China, it's easier because you will automatically have a Zoom Pro account because you register for free. But for members in Hong Kong, you have to buy your own version. Then you will have that sharing the co-host function. Let's say if I'm going to spotlight, I'm going to spotlight Jim, for example. Jim will be here in the screen, even when I'm talking. I just pretend that I'm talking like Jim, but he's not speaking. But it will not turn the screen back to my main control. It will be only Jim until I remove the spotlight from him. Because the meeting usually runs by audio, it automatically detects the audio so that whoever is speaking is in the main screen. But the spotlight will control the members if there are lots of distractions from the background, like a crying baby or maybe like you're watching a television or watching a soccer match and your friends scream, yes, it's a goal, and that actually distracts everything, then the audio will change to you. Spotlight will prevent that situation and we're only focusing on that speaker itself.
All right. Also get question about how about a co-host? Because this person also asked about the co-host function.
What do you mean by co-host function? Like,
so you're the host right now. Can you make somebody co-host of that meeting?
Yes, you can use it for normal accounts like Zoom Pro, but for new accounts, it depends on your luck. When I say luck, it means that sometimes Zoom will give up free slots so that when you're doing your meeting itself, if you have extended that 40 minutes limit, they may actually say, congratulations, you're one of the few lucky winners to actually have a free extension for your meeting.
Right.
Then that will be fine for that.
Then Jerry asked, he can't find the share computer sound. I don't know where this button is. And he asked about whether the Chinese version is comparable or actually the same with the English version. I guess there's some translation issues in between versions, or I don't know. Do you have an answer for that, Aaron?
So the Chinese version and the English version are the same. The only difference in terms of the login part is that in China version, you might log in with your Chinese mobile number. That is the only difference, I would say, in terms of the things to note between the Chinese version and the English version. Obviously, the wordings will be different. You would not see the share screen. It will be like 共享屏幕, sharing the screen. Yeah.
All right. Others I see you already answered. Any burning questions, because it is really running late, where it's already 10:45.
Good question by Alex though. Is it preferable for hosts to use laptop instead of smartphones? Yes. I will also suggest one more item is that usually for any host or any person who's starting online meeting itself, other than the free components I mentioned earlier on, the stable Wi-Fi, the tool that you're going to use online, and finally the open mindset, you might want to have a backup option of having your mobile phone at a standby. So if you're using a laptop and if your laptop is not functioning well, then at least you can change to a mobile phone to fix that problem. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't see any more questions. So seems everybody is satisfied. We will be able to share all the slides, and we actually recorded this whole thing.
So this is where you can share the computer sound. So you open the share and then click more, and then down here, share computer slide.
Awesome. All right, so I think we can give a round of applause to Jim and Aaron. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hello. Hello. And the last one, then the D89 membership growth training for October 20. We look forward to your participation again. Okay.
Thank you. We will stop the recording now, and then feel free to keep on asking questions. We'll be here to answer all your questions until I need to drink a Red Bull.